Hi, welcome to this edition of County Happenings, where we're finding out what's happening in the county in this new year with the County Mayor, Rogers Anderson.
2017, how are you? 2017 is kind of hard for me to say.
I just got used to writing 2016. So I'm still back in February. Where'd the year go?
Well, where does time go?
Yeah.
When you think about, there were a lot of things that occurred in Williamson County in 2016.
Yes, there were.
And certainly one of those areas is the incredible success that our community, and it has nothing to do with government, but our community has in other businesses wanting to locate here, businesses from small to large, helping to create new jobs, and it's unemployment rate, we continue to be one of the lowest in the entire state of Tennessee.
Yeah, there's help wanted signs all over the place.
Minimum wage is not non-existent here in this county. That's not to say that and employers, I should say it this way too, employers continue to tell us all the time that finding the right workforce is a very critical component. Mm-hmm. But I've been told, I don't know how true it is, that there are several thousand jobs for IT programmers all over our area.
And they're going out of the area which is another reason there's growth around here.
Interesting, Matt Largent, economic development and charge of the chamber and economic development over there, and I know he's got lots of people, so I won't start trying to name them. But he says one of the issues that some of the employees are talking about now is that if it's a move-in, and I won't name a business because I may miss the exact company, but once they bring the younger generation, the 25 to 30, 35-year-old person here or older, to train them, teach them their way of doing things, and then with the expectation is they're to go back out into the hinterlands and go to work or do that skill set at one of their other locations. Right. People don't want to leave. When they get here, they don't want to leave. They don't want to leave. They have the good schools, the quality of life indicators we talk about. Safe community, other than traffic and roads. It's an excellent place to live and raise a family, as you and I found out many years ago.
We haven't left yet.
And so we're getting some conversation now from these CEOs saying, we get them here and they really don't want to leave. And he said it makes it a little tough.
So stop making it so nice.
I thought, what are you telling us is what I want to say. But we do hear that. Matt says, he said that in a public meeting the other day, and I thought, I don't know if that's good or bad.
I know. Well, and it's funny you should say that because I'm out on the streets all the time. Not that I walk the streets, but I'm out on the streets and talking to people, and it's talking about how nice the people are and how friendly. Nice. Yeah, I think it's the people. I mean, you all have nothing to do with it in government. No. It's.
But we're going to get blamed for that.
Yeah.
That's just part of the cycle.
The people are just so kind. I remember a bunch of women came down from Fort Campbell with P38, and the community just embraced them and treated them, pampered them, and they didn't want to leave.
So I got to tell you a quick story, and then we'll get to the things we need to discuss. The P38, of course, that was started under Art Health, who died here a couple of months ago. But him and John and some of the guys came into the office a year and a half, 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember when. And because I'm a veteran, they said, "Would you like to participate?" I said, "Sure." What are you calling yourself? He said, "Well, we haven't got a name yet." And I said, "What do you mean you haven't got a name yet?" I said, "Have you got your 501c3 charter so that people can write checks? If you don't get that, they're not going to give you any money because they want to write it off on their taxes. You'll get a few, but you'll get more when you can write it off in your income tax." And I said, "But you really do need a name. It's catchy that just understands." And he said, "Well, we've been thinking about it. We just haven't been able to come up with one." And I just happened to have received that particular week, a friend of mine sent me a can opener. And it was a P38. And I said, then call it the P38. And of course, if you're a veteran, you know exactly what that is. Maybe the newer men and women that serve and last, say, 10 or 15 years may not know, because I'm sure they
You
have
got the flip
pop-off.
top, yeah.
But back in our days, you had to have a little can opener. And so we started talking about that. And, of course, the dog tags, I was in Vietnam. I'm just like
my husband.
your significant other, and many of the other men that were either in Korea or Afghanistan. Your dog tags could not jingle. You had to have them plastic laminated, or you could only wear one. And the purpose was always to have two.
Right.
And we won't go into that. So we had to have those dog tags laminated. And so when the P38 came out, you couldn't laminate it because you had the little thing that turned in. You had to be able to turn it out so you could go. It's just a little can opener about that size. And so it really was a chore. So a lot of us started laminating both dog tags and let the P38 be in between them so it kind of cushion them. So that's how the P38 name came about. We set it around. And I've always thought I should have patented that idea.
I know.
Once again, I missed the idea.
And nobody gives you the credit. They just say, oh, it came up in a meeting.
Well, it's not because I came, and it was because somebody, there's no.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's any new ideas unless you're a guy that specializes in some patents or something. We just steal from each other all the time.
But it's a great organization. They help families of deployed soldiers that need help. They support them.
Franklin's done, Brentwood's done, we've done a wonderful job. We each do our little part, but when Art was there, he would raise a lot of money and go back to the post, usually the 101st, and distribute gifts, Santa gifts from the organization that, because their dad was, for the most part, their dads were overseas, and so they wanted those kids to have something a little nicer than maybe.
Especially the enlisted men and
yeah.
women, because those are the people that struggle the most. And this year they had adopted 16 families. Some of the families had 5 or 6 kids, but when they organizations and stuff stepped up to help them, but they did manage to help 16 families.
It's a great thing to do. We have just recently hired a brand new veteran service officer, and she will come on in the middle part of this month, January, and she was a captain and flew Huey helicopters.
Wow,
so
she's got stories to tell.
She's got stories to tell, and we're really excited about her and her involvement in our veterans community, because not every county has a veteran service officer that helps men and women with their veterans issues, questions, paperwork, medical issues, and so we're very fortunate. We've had a good set of men and women that it's just a part-time job, 24, 25 hours a week, but it is just so rewarding.
Well, and it's so nice. My husband is, when Ken was there, he called him several times. Rather than call the Veterans Administration and be on hold for hours at a time or go sit down there for hours, it's call up here. Of course, it has to be Monday or Tuesday, or was it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever it is. But still, there's an opportunity there where you don't have to wait in line.
And this veteran service officer that we're hiring, and we'll have her on the show here shortly, but we want to expand those roles a little bit. Of course, we've had Stan and Ken, and we had AJ, and AJ just recently took a job someplace else and needed to make a little bit more money.
He was kind of young.
And he was. Well, he was in 20 years.
He just went in, must have been when he was 15. He really looked young. What I meant was he had a young family, and he still has to make some money.
Make some money, that's correct. But one of the things we want to do with our veteran service officers is get her out now into the community. Certainly want to be able to talk to the American Legion and the veterans organizations that they have. But we also want her to go to the Lions Clubs and the Rotary Clubs to expand that operation. What does she do, and how can we help you? And then we also want to look at our veterans that are coming back. Many times those veterans that have come back, and if folks that are watching this show, if if you were in the military, you've got a list of things that you've done that's almost a mile long. If you were in the listed side, you will list exactly what pieces and all that, but it's all military history. We need somebody that can take that kind of a resume and translate it and put it on the civilian side. We've hired specifically here in the county about 4 or 5 veterans over the last 3 to 4 or 5 years. They're all excellent employees. They're not afraid of hard work.
No, and they know how to work hard.
And they know how to work hard, which is very good. And so we want to be able to do it. Of course, I kind of tend to lend my thoughts to a veteran, and one that hits a specific market. But now, many of the veterans coming back have not worked on a TV studio, for an example. But there's many jobs
where they've done something that could translate into...
Sheriff uses a lot of veterans.
Yes, he does.
And our public safety department, that's where they learn that military discipline and that command of following orders and getting things done.
And procedures.
And procedures.
And in the Sheriff's Department and public safety, procedures are very important.
Well, we're even seeing that without getting into politics, so we try to stay out of that in here, but several of the departments, Washington, D.C., people that are being appointed are generals.
Yes.
And generals know how to get things done because they've come up through the ranks for 25, 30, 40 years, and they're used to barking out orders and finding someone to follow those orders, whether you like it or not. Those men and women, and you think of some of the great leaders we've had in history, a lot of them have gone through the military. In fact, President Trump is the first, I guess, president that's not been in the military.
No, Obama wasn't in the. Wasn't it President Obama?
I thought he was in the National Guard. You may be
right.
No,
President Bush was in the Air Force and Air National Guard.
It's been a long time since
Yeah, but it's been a long time since we've had. President Reagan wasn't. Oh, yes, he was.
Yes, he was.
He served in World War II.
But you go back to Eisenhower, and that's where it was. I mean, of course, he was a general.
Yes.
And of course, that was before social networking. That was before, it was almost before Pony Express, the mail service. But everybody knew about Patton and Eisenhower, and of course, Eisenhower went on to become the president for several years there.
Yeah. So yes. So anyway, so we've got the new Veterans Affairs person, and we have a retirement here in the office, in the studio here. Newt's gone.
We
have a hole in the place.
Well, his replacement has been named. Creve is doing a great job. We'll do more as he learns more about it, and he won't have Newt to say, well, Newt told me. The buck stops with him when I ask a question, and thank goodness the staff is still here, and they all do such a wonderful job. They don't change much up here. A lot of young faces, and it's a good opportunity for Creve to show his skill set. And we're going to be moving the studio in the next few months and give them a little bit more room, and they can expand their wings. They do a great job of broadcasting the sports and activities all over our community. Certainly,
for such a small crew, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere, and they use a lot of high school volunteers to train them too, and pay a little part-time money to some of them. But for the most part, they're learning their skill set, and they have to have a love and a passion for this. So we're very blessed to have a good crew.
And the nice thing about using the high school students is that, as we've seen with Lance, who came up through the ranks, there's a chance they could end up working here.
Well, they were working. I'm sure their parents are glad they're just working off the payrolls. And of course, Heather's been here a long time.
Oh, I know.
Lance, and so I'm proud. I hope they'll continue to push the envelope. And of course, the whole idea of public government TV was to show that transparency, the meetings, the county commission, the school boards, and of course we've expanded it here in our community, and then they took it to a whole new level. I don't remember how long it's been, 12 14 years ago when he went out and got this old beat-up van and convinced me, said, yeah, we could really use this. And so I think Fairview worked on the brakes, or Page did. Somebody else worked on that. I mean, that was a sorry piece of equipment when it came in here.
It was,
and
now
I
it looks
looked
so
at Newt
pretty.
and said, you got to be kidding me. But he got her done, painted, and they use that thing year-round for different events. And, of course, they broadcast the fair. And there's a lot of material you need to run a Channel 3 or 96, or now they streamline it, not streamline it, what do you call it?
It goes on over the airwaves.
Yeah, it goes over the airwaves.
It's on YouTube, and
they're into everything.
Yeah.
And we're trying to even expand it even more, and it is important that we do all that for our public.
Well, and what's nice is it's not a lot of the government stations are just that, meetings and boring and stuff. But they brought
They're not boring.
They brought this to, well, other counties maybe, not this county. But they've taken the station and taken it to a whole new level where it showcases what's going on in the schools, what's going on in the community, and people enjoy watching it.
Yeah, they really do. I hear a lot of nice comments, and it's the behind-the-scenes people that put it on. It's not you and me.
Yeah.
It's kind of like being a beat reporter like you are. You write the stories, and
but I don't do the stuff. I just tell them their stories.
that's right. But thank you guys for what you do.
Yeah.
And thanks to Newt for his many years of committed service.
Gosh.
I'm not sure that he's not missing a brick after working here because he moved up north after he retired.
Who goes north?
Well, I admire him. You know,
he had family.
He had family, and that's where his wife. You know, she kind of stayed around with him all these years.
Yeah.
And I think if he wanted to stay the next few years on life, he's going to have to travel with her.
Yeah.
So away they went. But I hope he makes it through the winter. I'm not going to worry about him. He's a big boy and got a beard when he left.
He better make sure that he's checked out L.L. Bean and Eddie Bauer for some nice Goose Down stuff. But
budget time.
Oh gosh, it's coming up.
2017 ought to be an exciting year. As you know, Dr. Looney has proposed for our schools. That's where about 65 to 70% of all the taxpayer dollars goes back into schools, either bricks and mortar or paying for those bricks and mortar, and then the operational side of it. He has informed the county commission and the general public that in 10 years we'll have 20,000 more students than we currently have. We have about 38,000 children now, and in the next 10 years, from the forecast of looking at numbers, is about 20,000 more. So if you break that down to just numerically and say, okay, what are we going to do in 5 years? That's 10,000 more students. And so for this growth that we're having, and as you know, the majority of the growth occurs inside the city limits. Mm-hmm. The Nolensville, Brentwood, Franklin, Thompson Station, Fairview, Spring Hill, those areas are still exploding. In fact, we just closed out the year, and our new building permits were up over what they were the year before. Of course, we all read in the paper what the real estate market's doing. New homes are up. Existing homes are also selling very good.
Right.
The values are just totally unbelievable to me in this community.
I know. If we were smart, we'd sell our homes. But then where would we live?
You wouldn't live here.
No, that's for darn sure.
Because you can't sell your house and go find another one like it. So, and I'm not ready to downsize yet. So I'll just stay where I am, my little old house. But I think it's
I got too much to move.
low unemployment. Yeah, low unemployment. Values are continuing to rise. A lot of people this time of year are paying their taxes, their property taxes, and those are up. It's every indicator. We're trying to do everything we can to keep those tax rates down, but you do have to raise taxes. We did last year. It's not what we like. It's not what any of us want to do. And then on top of that, we put this educational impact fee on here for new people moving in. They're going to have to pay more for these new existing homes. That might slow it down a little. We'll see. It didn't hurt us, the other times that we've had to adjust and tweak that, but we're passing some of those costs on to the new home when they come in.
And that's onto new construction,
only.
Not older.
Not even an add-on. So if you decide to add on at your house, it's not that. It is new construction, ground level up. And we spent well over a year of studying, hired an outside consultant to say to us, how do we value that? Because you will be challenged in court if you don't do it the correct way, or too much or not enough. And so we spent a considerable amount of time. The county commissioners voted 22-2 to put this educational impact fee on, and we'll phase it in. So if you are watching this show and you're getting ready to build a new house, come March 1 is when it actually goes into place. But we're only going to do half of the charge for March 1 through August 31 of 2017. And then September 1 of next year, it'll be the full cost.
So any houses that are started between March and August?
It's when you pull your permit.
Okay.
It's when you pull your permit. It's same procedures we use now, that when you come here and you've gone through all and most of the homes that are built with developers. Now there's still a few individual homeowners, the Adams still build here in time. Well, I don't want to get into naming names. There's probably a dozen men and women that still build individual homes. They do 4
or 5
5, 6 homes a year. But it is when they pull that permit and say, we want to start building, then that's when that money is due. All permitting money is due at that time. And September 1 will be the full thrust of whatever that cost will be. Every 3 years, we'll have to go back in and see what construction costs are. And we're doing it based on the square footage of the house. So if you build a home at 1,500 square feet, it's certainly going to be a lot different from building a home at 4,000 square feet. The larger the home, the more permitted dollars, educational impact fee you're going to have to pay for that. So if you're watching this show and you're thinking about doing a new home, then I suspect I would encourage you to get busy on it and get it out of the way, because after March 1 and then fully after September 1, when those permits are pulled, they have to help pay what you and I have been paying for, and not just move in and enjoy the fruits of the labor. The night of the vote, there was a lot of conversation about it, but it had gone down that road, and in public meeting after public meeting after committee meeting, and the commissioners, who are the ones that make that decision, said, let's do it. It's going to help us in the long run to help hold these taxes down. We've got to build schools, we've got to build jails, juvenile centers.
Right.
I mean, it's just
hire judges.
That's right. As you continue to grow in your community, you just have lots and lots of needs.
Right.
That has nothing to do with budget. I got sidetracked. And so the budget process is going around, and we're doing a 5-year capital. And Dr. Looney told us that they're going to need over $500 million over the next 10 years. $500 million.
That's $500 million.
That's $500 million. And there were, I think, I'm calling from memory, it was 11 new schools and 5 add-ons and 1 something else. But it was about 16 different structures that needed to be built. Now, some of those are a new high school over here, or a new wing on a school over here, and a new something over here. Now, will they get it all? Absolutely not. But there's a lot of discussion in the community too about athletics, and whether it's in Brentwood or whether it's at Franklin, they want athletics improvements. Some folks would say, well, then let them do like we did, raise money, and others over here say, well, we've got to keep up with the Joneses. And so it's a constant struggle on our county commissioners trying to balance that act. We try to give them that information and the direction, but you'll see more and more of these conversations.
Yeah, and looking for alternatives too. Eventually they just got to say, well, wait a minute.
Well, it wouldn't hurt it slow down a little, but the problem is when it slows down, you don't really see that for 5 and 10 years. I know they're investigating about rezoning. I know they're looking at, could a school building be used more than once in a day? When you go away to college, oftentimes you start classes 7:50 in the morning, you wrap it up at 10, 11, 12 o'clock.
Can you rotate?
Could you have some more classes in that same building? Now, it's a higher operational cost because the teachers can only work so many hours or do their jobs. So you may have to hire more teachers. But I know they're looking at a whole array of ideas, everything from direct streaming right into the home. There are some students who probably sit down to a computer, receive that, and learn just fine.
Right.
Others, I didn't have any of those kids. They need to be in that classroom. Demanding they come to class and do their homework.
Just weren't structured enough to sit down and do it on their own.
But there are young people that they're self-motivated and they're better parents than I was. That can get that out of them. So there's just so many things that you have to do to educate the child, plus all the other things that we have to do, from the court system to the jails to the and as you have more people, you have more
stuff going on. Yep. More issues, as we say.
It's never dull around Williamson County, Franklin, Brentwood, Noseville.
And Williamson County is one of the largest growth, had the largest growth last year.
Yeah,
in the country.
Yeah, in the country. They break those down into counties, and I don't know how many counties there are across the United States, 3,400. We were the #1 county in the nation for job growth. Now, if you break that down with cities where jobs are, and you blend them, cities and counties, we came in #5. So San Francisco beat us.
Oh, gee.
and some little place out of Dallas, Fort Worth beat us. But when you start looking at cities and blend us in with counties, we still hold our own. And that's a credit to Brentwood and Franklin and Nolensville, Spring Hill.
Yeah.
I mean, just a lot of jobs going on here.
Which is why we just had the previous discussion. And we'll have to do this again next time on County Happenings. See you then.
Bricks. Sturdy, heavy, hard, smooth, rough, narrow, wide, ignored as ordinary, yet formed with ancient skills. Bricks offer security without aggression. White to black, rose to cream to gray, touches of purple, magenta, vermilion. The history and moods of earth are revealed by their presence. Used for strength, yet brittle, bricks shed chips when tumbled, but last centuries stacked tightly. They stand steady, offer the pleasures of earth, a sense of time, rarely intrude, simply wait for the observer's eye.